Okay. Good evening, everybody. Let's out again. Maybe I don't need it. Good evening, everybody. I am very happy to welcome you to the Cronkite Global Conversations as part of the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship, which is a USA Department grant that has been at Arizona State University for 14 years now. We're extremely proud of introducing our cohort to this community, and it's a pleasure to be here today. So before I get started with the panels, I know that many of you were able to get information regarding the speakers today, but if you want to learn more about them or more about the Humphrey Fellowship, you can scan these QR codes and get to learn more about their profiles and who they are and what they have done before coming here. So I'll give you a minute in case you want to do a screenshot, but also we have flyers at the entrance that you can use to learn more about our fantastic cohort of Humphrey Fellows. So my name is Juan Mandel. I'm Executive Director of Cronkite Global Initiatives, and I'm joined today by Julia Wallace, who is a professor of practice and the curator of the Humphrey Fellowship at Arizona State University. In addition to thanking our attendees, our moderators, our fellows, and also the US State Department for entrusting us with this grant, I give a big shout out to our team in Phoenix who work really hard to make this event happen. So thank you to everyone for being here. Without further ado, I am going to call the first panel to come up and start the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Oh, is it working? Hi. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hubert from South Korea. I'm a newspaper reporter.
Hi, everybody. I'm a broadcast journalist from Australia. I'm Camilo Diola. Is the news a dying business? So this is the question that we seek to tackle today. And the answer is not so simple. There are actually many things that contribute to the demise of the news, especially local news in the past few years. Okay, thank you. So in the U.S., urban centers are surrounded by news deserts, which are areas and communities that don't have access to local news, especially credible local news. In struggling democracies such as the Philippines, where I'm from, the situation is even more dire. So economic difficulties, starting with a pandemic, and then exacerbated by recession, inflation, the lack of resources to adapt to the changing platform landscape, and also the shifting audiences' behavior, as well as the corporate consolidation, have led to the closure of dozens and dozens of news organizations in the Philippines, not just newspapers. Those that are remaining or surviving have a limited lifespan. It does not help that there is an eroding democratic institution. Just in 2021, the Philippine Congress shut down the country's largest broadcaster, ABS-CBN, and this led to the shuttering of 143 news bureaus across the country, leaving many of my colleagues jobless and diminishing further the access to civic information. I myself, lead a newsroom of a national news outlet, but I believe that in the coming years, it is not on national news that our energies and our passion, our focus, and funding should be on. We need a thriving local news ecosystem. And that ecosystem will directly serve communities. In Manila alone, where I am based, there are 30 news outlets that are mostly national, and these 30 outlets already make up 30% of all news providers in the Philippines, where the rest of the 100 million Filipinos live. There is a severe lack of coverage, and this lack of coverage has contributed to the perpetuation of political dynasties, war disinformation, historical distortions, and of course, lack of accountability among local governments and politicians. So local news can help fix these problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to explain you the concept of South Korea. And then, I was a newspaper worker, so this is kind of sad situation because everybody just saying like the newspaper is declining, and then someday just paper news will be gone, and then so we heard this kind of thing many times. Yeah, it makes me really sad. But first of all, I have to say that COVID-19, so why COVID-19 negatively affected newspaper industry in South Korea was it was very awful. Yeah. So it started 2020, yeah. And then the people like stop, and then so the economy went down, and so because of this reason, so everybody just saved their money. So newspaper lost many subscribers. I guess this kind of situation is similar to the United States, yeah. Not only in the USA, but South Korea also happened this kind of things. And then one big problem is Korean newspaper heavily depend on advertisement. So because of recession, many big companies try to cut down their advertisement cost. So we are in a big problem because of this situation. So many reporters, editors should have paid leave or unpaid leave even. And then some media outlets try to lay off their employees. So that is one situation in South Korea. And then next, I have to say about platform. And so these days, many people consume news from online by smartphone or cell phone, right? And also wondering, does anybody read newspaper? I mean, just paper news? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, everybody. Yeah. So in South Korea, there are two huge portal websites. So maybe most online news were circulated by those portal websites. So we also set our news to that portal website. But if they change the rule, we need to start from the first. So we have to. So and then one other thing is so high page views means money. So to make money, so some newspaper, I think we also do that. Doing like creating some sensational news. That is so sad situation. Yeah, overall this kind of gloomy thing, so we need to find solutions, and then hopefully it will continue. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and so then the question remains, is news a dying business? I mean, this is so relevant, more so in an era we find ourselves today. The threat of the new media, the shrinking economy, and others. So if actionable steps are not taken, like my colleagues have mentioned, we're heading for the doom. And one way to go, I believe, should be to reflect. Because sometimes progress means taking a step or two backward to like reflect on your approach. What have you done that has been workable and what has not worked? So we need to think about how diversified we've really been, how inclusive and accountable we have been as the media people, especially the traditional media, I mean the newsroom. How many of women content we have been really able to produce in a very balanced measure. The ideal world should be women and men have the equal space to thrive and to enjoy that equal opportunity. But the media whole sector should be able to understand that gender equality goes beyond equal space, it's a really good business. Because research has shown that organizations with high female representation and the senior management roles are outperforming those that are without or have less. So we should be able to see this foresight. We should be able to start asking ourselves, how intentional are we to really start producing more content that are for and about women? It's not just about reporting on women's issues, but how balanced can we be? Let's look at our senior management stages. I mean, regardless of how far you go as a man in reporting on women and girls issue, as a newsroom, you'll never get the full story without the presence or the lens of a woman. It's like telling my own story in my presence, but not giving me the opportunity to do it myself. When the ideal should be we tell it together. That is more diversified, right? We look at pay gap. You pay me based on how you value me. And if I feel less, I'm demotivated and I'm less productive. We tend to hold the government accountable on this issue, but we ourselves are still struggling with it as media people. So let's think through on how we ourselves can do like a check and balance on ourselves, because gender equality goes hand in hand with microeconomic and financial sustainability. So let's think through this as we look at all the resources to rescue and nurture. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you to our Humphrey Fellows for a fantastic presentation. And now I am very happy to introduce to you the next panel and our moderator, who is one of our Humphrey alumni. So please come on to the podium.
Today we will delve into the evolving global landscape of organized information campaigns. And we're going to talk about voices from different countries we have here. Malawi, Pakistan, Nepal, Peru, and Korea, of course. I'm your host, Alex Gorbachev. I was also a Humphrey Fellow, and I'm a TV reporter with the Voice of America. And without further ado, allow me to introduce our distinguished panelists, our speakers. And I think what we will do, I will just first introduce and ask you a question, and we will go one by one, just 1 minute each. So let's move to Belén Tavares. She's a Peruvian journalist who has worked as a television reporter, producer, magazine editor, and film critic. She is also a documentary filmmaker. Belén, how does information affect your country?
Thank you, Alex. Disinformation is affecting Peru by discrediting institutions and authorities, such as the National Board of Justice, an institution that is in charge of appointing, ratifying, and dismissing judges and prosecutors at all levels. Who wants to disagree this institution? The Congress. They started an investigation with no legal arguments, and they are going to vote next week against them because they want to remove its members. In a national survey, in a recent national survey, show that 82% of Peruvians disapprove the Congress. But for me, it was surprising to read that only 58% thought that what the Congress wants to do is going to break the balance and independence that should exist between the powers of the state. So this is one precise example that how this information is impacting my country. Thank you.
Thanks, Belén. Let's move to Malawi. Voice from Golden Matonga, who is an investigative journalist, media freedom advocate, who is currently serving as the as the chairman for Media Institute of Southern Africa, Malawi chapter, and as the director for investigations and the platform for investigative journalists. Same question to you.
First and foremost, thank you very much, our colleagues who have joined us today to attend this panel. We really appreciate your presence. This information is affecting Malawi's democracy. And Malawi's democracy is a very young democracy. 25 years ago, Malawi wrestled back its freedom from a tyrant. And now this information is encouraging distrust and distrust in our democratic system. And this information is going beyond just affecting our democracy. It's also affecting the social cohesion in my country. For example, we have seen during the public health threats such as COVID-19, this information affecting how the public was able to get information about vaccines. We saw a lot of fake stories threatening people, scaring people around this information, and that put away people from receiving vaccines that would have saved scores of lives. So this information is a huge threat, not only to democracy, but the social cohesion as well in Malawi. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Golden. Let's move to Pakistan. Our guest from Pakistan, our speaker from Pakistan is V.S. Haq, who is an award-winning investigative journalist based in Islamabad, Pakistan, who has 13 years of experience in several leading newspapers, including the Express Tribune and the Dawn Media Group, and who is an expert in governance, human rights, government accountability reporting, and data-driven investigation. One question to you, Riyaz.
I'll just say that since my arrival in August this year, all the information has been replaced completely by the disinformation from the state institutions, from different organizations. We'll be talking further, but it is in such a dire strait, the journalism in the country, that only disinformation is ruling, and all the correct information is not deliberately not being allowed in the country to be privy to the public, and so that public knows about it. There is nothing, because you can lose your life for saying anything, regardless of you are criticizing the institutions or whatever, even for saying the truth. So, and next we'll share the details how it is murdering the democracy and the peace in the country.
Thank you. Let's hear our speaker from Nepal today. Today we have Tufan Nipani, who is an investigative journalist with Kantipur Daily. His remarkable reporting led to the release of wrongfully accused young men from prison, and his impactful reporting also played a significant role in impeachment of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Nepal. So how does disinformation affect your country, Tufan?
Thank you, Alex, for the question. The organized campaign of disinformation is directly challenging the core value of democracy and diverse society, peace, and Nepal's tolerant democracy. In Nepal, nowadays we can see the disinformation campaign regarding the political and religious activities. Nepal says, as we know, India has in India, Prime Minister Modi is practicing ultra-nationalist Hindu politics. And Nepal used to be a Hindu state, only one Hindu state, and after 2013, Nepal became a secular state. And now, some political parties in Nepal, with support of Indian ultra-nationalist Hindu group, they are trying to convert Nepal as a Hindu state, and they are creating some tension between the religious minorities and religious communities by sending the fake videos, etc. So it has directly challenged the democratic values. Thank you.
Thanks, Stefan. Why don't you move to South Korea? Today we have Sunshine Steel, who is a journalist, TV reporter, documentary producer, who has been working for KBS, which is a leading broadcasting company in South Korea, and he's been working there for over 20 years. Now his subject has turned his attention to climate change. So, Sunshine, question to you, how does disinformation affect your country?
Yeah. In South Korea, this information is also used by means of the traffic and political content. Social media pages like YouTubers make this information news likely to be preferred by biased people and groups to get money, to earn money. Yeah. This leading to our nation's division and conflict, but they don't consider this, but they only consider the money. The politicians also utilize this information for their political ambitions and popularity. They distribute this information for to eliminate their political enemy and other views or political views. So they also want to this information to be generated more and more. So nowadays, mainstream media outlets in South Korea now strictly the fact-check news.
Thanks, Sunshine. Why don't we move back to Peru? Milan, I want to ask you, there are lots been going on in Peru, but could you tell us about cases when disinformation contributed to political or economical instability?
Yes, of course. I want to go back to 2021 because that year we have the presidential elections, the general elections, and in the last 8 years we have had 7 presidents. So it's crazy. And again, according to the recent national survey, 80% of Peruvians, they don't want to wait until 2026. The period is 5 years for the presidency. So they want elections now. And maybe this could happen, I don't know, but I think that it's a possibility. And my fear is that it's going to happen the same that happened in 2021. So what happened? Very a long story short. So Pedro Castillo won the presidency in a very close second round, and the candidate who lost, Keiko Fujimori, denounced fraud, and she started a disinformation campaign to sabotage the results. She proposed a hashtag, fraud in the voting locations, and her party, her followers, start using social media to spread fake news, messages of hate to the candidate, to the president, who was the president, to the followers, to anyone who didn't believe that it was a fraud, those elections, because it wasn't a fraud. And it contributes not only for this political and economic instability, but to discredit of the electoral institutions. It polarizes more it creates more polarization between Peruvians, and it was a very dark period on our history. We have to wait until 1 month for the president to be recognized. So she also tried to make people not recognize the results, and we were, in the eye of the tornado. It was a very sad month, and I think that that history can be repeated again in next election.
Thanks, Glenn. Very interesting. Disinformation is a huge problem globally. I think all of you would agree with me. And I want to ask our speaker representing Africa and Malawi, why disinformation in Africa is important, and what are key factors contributing to it?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it's a very relevant and timely question to us at the moment. For a couple of months, political watchers of Africa have been on the edge because there have been a number of media coups in West Africa particularly, which have emptied a lot of pro-democratic supporters. Because a country after a country, we have seen military coups, happening in succession in Mali, Burkina Faso, and everybody's neighborhood, which would be the next country to fall under this domino effect. And behind this trend is create a campaign to discredit democracy, a campaign to present democracy as a Western concept. But if you look consistently at the surveys done by reading African think tanks, in each and every country, people continue to choose democracy as their preferred system of governance. So everybody now is watching to say to what extent these organized campaigns for disinformation going to be allowed to continue spreading African democracy. So that's part of the problem. But now how do we stop it? I do believe that the only way we can stop disinformation across Africa to ensure that we protect the liberal democracy in Africa is to ensure that the oxygen of information continues to reach the population. So how do we go about it? We have to train our journalists to ensure that they are able to provide correct information to the people to be able to counter disinformation campaigns in Africa. We have to strengthen civil society to be able to reach out to the populace in Africa so that people should be able to have the correct information and make choices based on the informed points of view. This information, as I alluded to, is not only threatening democracy, it's threatening cohesion. And that we see now because of mistrust which has been built in political systems, mistrust which has been built in public services officials. And that is a huge threat to the continent. We need to do something about it. We have seen that the foreign players, for example, the Wagner Group, who has created its own in Africa, and which are being used to spread disinformation. And that's something which is be worrying. If they can be able to manipulate elections in a Western major democracy like the United States, what about a small democracies like Malawi and other African countries? Thank you.
Thanks, Golden, for such an in-depth answer. Why don't we move to Pakistan? For decades, military is one of the ruling powers in Pakistan. Riyadh, could you tell us about the implication it has for journalists and how military presence is shaping Pakistani media landscape?
This afternoon I had tea with the Pakistani ambassador in the US, and when he was meeting a couple of fellows, I was the only journalist, and he said, whenever you meet people from State Department or the Americans here, just spread the good word about the country and say, don't talk bad about the country. And he looked at me and smiled because a while ago we talked about how the censorship and things are going on in the country. So while we were talking, like 9 hours ago, this is the latest, an anchor was offered from a primetime news channel because he was critical of institutions, especially Pakistan Army, and he is the, I think, 15th or 16th anchor who has been offered, and there is no talk about it in the country, because if you talk about it, even if you are outside country, Interpol notifications are being sent to those people. They used to talk on television from the US and other places, but now there have been FIRs, the first information reports against them in different police stations, and they are banned from going on the television as well. So they can't talk on that. If there is a YouTube, etc., again there is action based. The YouTube channel is banned in Pakistan. So the disinformation is now officially, it sounds that it's something like criticizing our country or negative word, but it is officially now that army has taken over in journalism in Pakistan, and they are doing whatever they want. All the information shared by them should be going on air unedited. Whenever you go and edit something, you are told, sorry, this is not something we sent. You should air whatever we have shared with you, and you should publish whatever we have shared with you, and the videos and whatever, all the stuff is promotional, and anything which is critical of the government, including the inflation, like the prices of the sugar or the prices of other vegetables are going up, no, you should not mention these things. You should do other positive things. They are directives. You should talk about the past, the kids are in the past, and all these things. So real journalism is out of the past, and you just talk about the ends and the stuff, and all the pigeons are in the air, etc. So yeah, unfortunately, then there is a lot we can talk, but since I'm running out of time, so
Yeah, we are moving to Nepal. To find last decade, it was tumultuous for press freedom in Nepal. Could you, what is your assessment of current state of press freedom in Nepal, and what are key challenges for journalists who are working in Nepal? Journalists like you.
Okay. After adopting the new constitution in 2015, we have comparatively better legal framework for press freedom, but still we have, I think there are some rooms to reform it, to improve it. If we read the constitution, we have complete press freedom in the constitution, but constitution again provides some room for the authorities to impose restrictions for the press. For example, constitution has provided some ground to make a law to limit press against to stop against the sovereignty and national integrity of the country, or harmony between the communities or state or provinces, something like that you can interpret it as you like, as you want. There is no obligation to the authority to link it directly the burden of the evidence and those things. So I think there is still a room to reform, to improve the constitution if we talk about the legal framework. And there are some regulatory institutions like broadcasting Department of Nepal or Press Council of Nepal, and they are not independent and the process is not transparent. So I think this is another challenge for the press freedom of Nepal. And journalists are working in unsafe environment compared to other South Asian countries like in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh. You can say Nepal, we have a safer place, but still there are some human rights violators, and there is a culture of impunity, and journalists are forced to work on that unsafe environment. And lastly, the laws are using to silence the journalists. For example, we have this law against cybercrime, and there are a lot of examples that authorities have been using those to silence journalists. So I think these are the main challenges for journalists and for the press freedom in Nepal. Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting. Let's talk about South Korea. Could you tell us a little bit, Sunshine, about disinformation in South Korea, and what are key challenges? What are major issues surrounding that?
Now, what I find the most serious case is the distortion and the verification about the May 18th democratization movement that took place in Gwangju City in 1980. In May 1980, the 1 million citizens in Gwangju engaged in protest against the military dictatorship to stand up for democracy. But at that time, the military dictatorship brutally suppressed the citizens. Even they deployed the military special teams like parachute troops. In this result, over 100 people lost their lives and injured at that time. However, a few years later, the democracy took root in South Korea, thanks to sacrifice of innocent citizens and the university students. And it was unequivocally recognized that the start of South Korea's democratization. But nowadays, some political tensions began spreading false information that North Korean soldiers at that time involved in Gwangju demonstration movement. And they also emphasize that there is not a genuine resistance of the people. Even though judiciary and the Ministry of Military Defense acknowledged at that time there is no evidence that involvement of North Korean soldiers, but they ignored. Nowadays, this information is snowballing. Yes. I would like to introduce my companies. The South Korea's largest public broadcasting company, Hubert, reported that recently over 800 cases of dysfunction and vilification about Gwangju democratization movement has confirmed. I think this is the threat to our country's democracy and tragedy of our country's democracy. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tom. I think the last bill applies to those people who stood up against dictatorship. It was very touching bringing it up. And of course to our speakers who shared all those insights about journalism and challenges in your countries. And I said it to you previously, and I want to say to you once again that I admire your passion and dedication to journalism.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to our panelists and our amazing moderators for leading this discussion. And now we're going to go on into our last panel of the night. So I'm going to invite our next set of panelists to please join me on the stage.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Nirmashava. I am from Kyrgyz Republic, and I'm a head of staff department in Digital Development Ministry. I just want to start with digital transformation in Kyrgyz Republic. Digital transformation is being actively implemented in our country last 5 years. We are landlocked country. We don't have any resources. So IT sector is a really good opportunity. It's a key to sustainable economic development. However, we have a problem. We have a lack of digital literacy. So that's why I'm here, to eliminate digital literacy of people. Let's see, what is the definition of digital literacy and why it's so important in our society? This is our act. This is the key for all our digital services, government services. And we have all digital documents, digital services, everything in one key. But everything, as you notice, 4% of population, only 4% of population use this app. What does it mean? It means that people, they don't know how to use it. They don't know about the existing of this application. This is the lack of digital literacy and information policy. So, if you can see the definition of digital literacy, what are they doing? What do you think? It is the picture of holding election of 2015. It was election in our country. The first election was using innovative technology, but people were not ready. This is the 5,000 equipment
And part of them we sent to the rural areas just to test it. And when we were collected all these things, the most of them were broken. Why? Because they don't know, even they don't know how to connect all this equipment. As you see, what did we do? We sticked all these stickers, like here's the mouse, here's the scanner, camera, network, and you have to just take the cable, like with red sticker, and just to connect it. It was really, government spent a lot of money just to shift the digital transformation. But we did a lot of effort. 5,000 equipments were located with these things. So that's why we need digital literacy. And people, this digital illiteracy can be really complicate people's lives. They can be excluded from such kind of advantage like associated with education, self-development, job opportunities, and also public services. So that's why I'm here with this mission to create a national program to eliminate digital literacy of Kyrgyz Republic.
Oh, thank you, Ella. This was very insightful, and I'm sure that a lot of people like me from post-Soviet spaces, because I'm from Georgia, can relate to many things that you mentioned. I'm also, my name is Humphrey, and I'm the only journalist in this panel, so I want to use this chance to talk about the subtopic of media literacy and present some insights on how people consume information in Georgia, in the Caucasus, and how this consumption of news and media works in a community that is tightly bonded and that is dependent on social media. So these are some figures courtesy of Media Development Fund in Georgia, an organization that does this kind of research in 2022 on where people consume media, and the majority, 42%, use social media. But in Georgia, that means Facebook. Then 32% is TV, and 12 is acquaintances and friends. More than half of people who participated in the survey, so 65%, never or rarely double check the information, and they have their few established sources of information like media companies that they like and follow, or some specific public figures that they follow, and they don't double check what is being given to them. So somehow we arrived to the situation in Georgia now, and that's thanks to a rhetoric of the government where tradition and religion is in one camp, and in the opposing camp is the disturber of peace, free media, and NGOs. And their mission is to promote so-called Western liberal values and strip Georgia of culture and religion that is so important to us. And these things are somehow now mutually excluded. And I believe that part of the answer to that is because people are being served the news by the algorithm. And while, yes, people in Georgia know how to use phone and computer because they just consume the news that are in their feed and don't go and double check it. This brings division and decline of democracy in the society. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Rocío Barao. I'm from Cuba. I'm a communication specialist, and it's funny to see how the influence countries by the Soviet Union has been joined in a panel. I didn't think I was there right now. Well, the situation in Cuba is that we have been under the regime of
under a dictatorial regime for 64 years. So the government is not investing in digital literacy. They are just coming up with big initiatives or technologies for the people to use, but they never say the people how to use it. So now we have online banking, but no one knows how to use it. So people are sharing all their information. Your ID, your bank number, everything to other people, and people are getting scammed. So I think it's our responsibility as people that are more educated in how to use digital technologies, our responsibility to educate others, to push for every sector whenever we are to other people to get the same level of education with the knowledge that we have. I think that's the only thing that we can do. For instance, in Cuba, we also don't have media literacy, so it's kind of like Georgia. People have one source of information, and that's the only source they trust, and they don't know what to do or how to do or who to believe because there is polarization everywhere. But since we have been hearing from my other colleagues, democracy is at risk, not only in Cuba, not only in the United States, it's at risk everywhere. And I think it's our role to seek how to defend democracy from wherever we can. So mostly it's just about getting the people the right information, the right tools, teaching them how to do it, and just being leaders in our field and inspire other people to really know how to do it. And it's not that difficult, and I think that we can all participate on this. And so yes, trust your sources, but please always question why those people want you to know that, want you to do that, and just try to diversify what you find in the way, and try to help others to integrate and to navigate the digital world in a better way. Thank you.
Very much. Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Really fast.
Sure.
I'm Julia Wallace. I'm the curator of the program, and we have a few minutes, and we'll open it up for questions.
Oh wait, my name is
Questions?
I was practice too. Where did you see
Yeah, exactly. Would you rather socialize? Is that what you'd rather do? All right, there's food. Let's socialize. Let's enjoy. We've now gotten introduced to the fellows. So say hello, and we'll go from there. How's that? All right, thank you very much.
Are you doing?